So I'm going to start off this review by saying that Ryan Coogler has really done it again. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I honestly believe that this is the strongest film in MCU's Phase 4. And this is coming from someone who went to bat multiple times for Shang-Chi. Now, for me, this film just connected with me emotionally on so many levels. I laughed, I cried. I cried quite a bit, honestly. And of course, I heard the return of Rihanna, the singer. This movie understood me, it heard me, it made me feel seen, and I thank them for that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Agenda. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Huang, and on this channel, I essentially watch mainstream content and let you know if it's worth your time. And honestly, it's because your time is valuable, and no one should tell you otherwise. Today, I'm going to be talking about the highly anticipated newest film from Marvel, Black Panther. Wakanda Forever. I just got out of a really special screening for it. It was such an amazing time. And to pair that experience with this film honestly felt like a fantastic night. I'm just going to go right out and say it. I love this film. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This film is beautiful in the way it honors Chadwick Boseman's legacy. His unfortunate passing left such a void in the world that seeing this film really allows the audience to have that cathartic journey, and it allows us to experience it through this powerful story about grief, loss, and everything that comes with that, whether it's how we act afterwards, how we go through grief. In this case, sometimes we focus ourselves into our studies, our works, and we start to avoid the topic because we're not ready to process things, or we don't want to process these things because it's a conversation that we're just not ready to have, because acknowledging it kind of makes it feel real. And with this film, you can tell that everyone involved with this film wanted to make sure that they got this right. You can still feel Chadwick's heart throughout this whole movie, and that presence just makes this film that much more emotional, but that much more special. It'll be hard not to have tears in your eyes throughout this film, unless you're heartless. It is just such a beautiful movie. I honestly love it. As someone who didn't know how to grieve during certain moments in my life, this film hit a spot for me that I thought I healed it and managed to break me and put me back together again. And it was, again, a beautiful cathartic journey in that sense. So, for pulling this off, I need to give Ryan Coogler such high praise, because what he has created with this film is simply phenomenal. There are so many layers within this film. There are things here that will resonate with people, and he just keeps knocking it out of the park. And this was already a hard task to even consider accomplishing once we all found out what happened to Chadwick Boseman. And the fact that Ryan Coogler delivers this film is just so incredible. With this film also comes an incredible acting ensemble. Like, this is an ensemble. There aren't enough words, honestly, to praise them for what they were able to bring to the screen. Everyone stood out and everyone delivered incredible performances. I'm gonna start with Queen Ramonda herself, Queen Angela Bassett. She was unbelievable. She commands your attention in every scene she's in. Her powerful scene that you've probably gotten a glimpse of in the trailer was just that jaw-dropping moment where my theater was so impressed. She turned it out. There wasn't a moment where she wasn't stealing the scene. She is just that good. I also want to give a shout out to Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. Now, I have heard of her character, but this was essentially my first introduction to the character, and it was awesome. Honestly, I loved that character. She was such a great character. She was so likable and relatable. You wanted to keep getting to know her, you wanted to keep rooting for her. I honestly can't wait to see more from her. I thought Dominique Thorne smashed it. I am also going to give a shout out to Danai Gurira as Okoye, who was incredible as always. I love Okoye's character. She is one of my favorites in the MCU. Seeing her on screen each time is just so special. She makes the most of every scene she's in. And in my opinion, she actually delivers the best joke in the whole movie. Her action scenes are incredible. Her dramatic moments were impactful. I loved it. I think Okoye really is just so good in this film. Another character who I loved was Shuri. Shuri in this film, Letitia Wright, left me speechless. She truly delivers in this film and manages to carry the emotional weight of this film while allowing the audience to sympathize with what she's going through. I thought she handled that spectrum incredibly well. Like, such an amazing performance. And you don't have to agree with Letitia Wright, what she has said in the past regarding the vaccine mandate, all of that. You don't have to agree with that. But moving that aside, as an actress, what she has been given here to go from the supporting actress, the supporting role, to taking on the lead of this franchise due to an unfortunate passing and managing to carry off this emotional story and grieve at the same time, you have to commend her for that. That is something that when you think about it, it seems impossible to do, but she managed to do it, and that is just fantastic. Also, Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia was great. I thought she was really great. I do feel like we didn't get as much of her or Winston Duke as M'Baku this time around, but it's always a delight to see both of them on screen. I thought they were really great. They always managed to entertain. You always managed to get invested. You always want to know what's going on with those characters. So I thought they were just great. I wanted to see a little bit more of them. Now, Tenoch Huerta as Namor, this performance is a scene stealer. When you talk about the word presence, on screen presence, you will right away think of this character, of this actor. This is a role that could have been, you know, a standard MCU type villain character where sometimes you really don't care about the villains in the MCU. It happens. But what I love about the first Black Panther and this one here with these films, you actually manage to care about these characters. You understand where they're coming from. You don't always 100% agree with how they're going about things, but you do get to the point where you even sympathize with them a bit. And honestly, that is thanks to the script in both cases with Killmonger and now Namor, but mainly the performance here. This performance made Namor not only the best villain in Phase 4 of the MCU, but perhaps one of the most memorable in quite some time when it comes to superhero films overall. I thought Namor really just blew it out of the water. And speaking of water, this film is visually stunning. The visual effects, the shots of the water are absolutely breathtaking. Every shot here is perfectly crafted. And seeing the world of Talocan was incredible. The world building in this film, simply unreal. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. It was so beautiful to behold. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. It is just phenomenal. I also got to give a shout out to the score and the soundtrack. I thought once again they are just like in the first film, a perfect mix. The score here, it manages to elevate scenes. It manages to make you feel excited. It manages to make you feel sad when it has to. It manages to evoke all of these emotions out of you, and it really is just a fantastic job. And the soundtrack here, every song manages to be a perfect fit. No song felt out of place. Honestly, this is how a cinematic soundtrack should be made. Now, when we talk about the narrative, the plot, yes, I can understand where people say that this is like two films in one. No, it is not a Disney Plus series in terms of how much stuff is packed in here. That is a stretch. That is just a fabricated lie because it is not a Disney Plus series. Two films, I'd understand where you're coming from. A Disney Plus series, no. This felt like if you were able to divide it, and there is a point in the film where technically you could divide it and you make a part one and part two. But by doing so, I feel you lose the essence of what this film accomplishes. And yeah, you may have a problem with the pacing at one point. I didn't feel the runtime personally. I did feel there was a pacing issue at times. It was very minor. I was having a really great time, but I did notice there was a pacing issue here in this film. But everything that ends up happening here in this film has a purpose, just as in life. Whether you end up seeing it now or later, there is a reason as to why things happen in this film, and everything ends up coming full circle. Now, another thing I want to give credit for this film manages to have some really great jokes. It doesn't always feel emotionally draining. There are some good jokes here to balance that out, which is great. When you compare the jokes here to recent films in the MCU, the jokes here are honestly so much stronger and much better delivered. I feel here it's not so often where it's an overkill, like it's the perfect amount. There's even a joke here that involves Miss Fenty. For me, it was everything. That's honestly the best joke in the film. And speaking of Miss Fenty, Miss Rihanna, if you know me, you know that I am a member of the Riri Navy. When Rihanna says that Rihanna rain just won't let up, guess what? It's true. Facts have been spoken. Now, hearing her song in a theater with such amazing sound quality, by the way, sent me to another realm. The return of Rihanna the singer is just something I have been waiting for, and the fact that her return comes through Black Panther Wakanda Forever is absolutely phenomenal. I think Lift Me Up is such an emotionally devastating, lyrically and sonically, it is also just so beautiful. And Born Again, which is the second song, was absolutely phenomenal, which is not even featured on the official soundtrack for some crazy reason. But if you had any doubt that Rihanna the singer was back, that song and Lift Me Up will make sure that your doubts are cleared. Give her her tens. She was out here taking us to church in that theater, and there were some people leaving. And I'm like, how dare you? She is out here taking us to church. She's mothering right now. Her songs in this film manage to uplift you as they comfort your soul. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I love Rihanna as an artist. She always puts her heart and soul into her work and wants to make sure that her songs leave an impression on you. And here it's no exception. Now, being from Puerto Rico, being able to recognize places that are part of the place you call home makes watching this film such a more beautiful experience. If you don't know, it was filmed on location on our island. There are a couple of spots that are featured throughout the film, and seeing that on the big screen, seeing that from a film, from a huge studio, Marvel Studios, it's amazing. It's amazing to see that they actually filmed on our island, and the way they show the scenes that were filmed here, it hits differently when you're Puerto Rican. It hits differently when you know what part is being shown. And for me, that is just so special. And I want to thank Marvel for that because there is a sense of just orgullo boricuas, that pride you feel when you see those scenes that I was overwhelmed with emotion. It was just amazing. Is there a post-credit scene? There is a mid-credit scene, which is just so beautiful. Please don't miss out on the mid-credit scene. There were people in my screening where Lift Me Up started playing and they left. I was already offended that they left during that part. And then they left during the mid-credit scene as well. And I'm like, hello. This is a beautiful moment here that you're all just casually walking out on. I can tell most of them were not fans of Marvel, but here we are. If you are a fan of Marvel, or you know what, just stay through the mid-credit scene, stay through Born Again by Rihanna, the second song, you'll be good. There is no post-credit scene all the way at the end. It's just a mid-credit scene. So overall, to conclude this review, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is a fantastic example of blockbuster filmmaking that has reached a whole nother level. And that to me is simply epic. It tells a different kind of story in the MCU that we're just not used to seeing. And I loved it for going in that direction. I think it does something totally unique. I think it does something that really pays tribute to the grand legacy that is Chadwick Boseman. This film just ends up reminding of the void he left in our world, but as the film touches on with the spirituality, he's still with us, even though he's physically not here. And a presence like Chadwick Boseman can never be forgotten. It will not be forgotten. That is the legacy he's left on this world. I feel like this just made organizing my top films of the year list that much harder. And we're in November. The year's not over yet. So I don't know how that list is going to look. But I can tell you this, I think Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to make that final list. I don't know where on that list it's going to be, but I think it's going to be there. So my rating for this film is going to be a 9 out of 10. Absolutely love this film. My recommendation is if you're going to see this, it would be my recommendation to see this on a premium format screen like IMAX or Dolby Atmos. This film is worth spending the additional money on that premium experience for the visuals, for the acting, and for the film overall itself. And if you're hesitant about seeing this film, please trust me on this one. Go see it in a theater and do not wait until it's like on Disney Plus. Don't wait for that. Please, if you can, go see this in a theater. So, that is my review of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd and on Serialized at Leading Mohicans. And remember, regardless of what others feel about the things you love, it's always for the agenda. Bye.